Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me. We have an amazing guest today on our MAFSI newsletter member spotlight, and it's time for the interviewer to become the interviewee. On screen today, we have Jason Wange, who's the Executive Director of Sales with CalMill. Jason, thank you for joining me.
Kate, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Yes, we're super excited. We the membership and marketing committee, we're like, this is the best person to have. So we were very, very excited for this to have you on here. So also, as a shameless plug, if there's anybody ever that watches this that wants to nominate somebody, please um, email Heather Pittman because it's so fun for me to sit down and to get to interview everybody. So, okay, everyone has everyone wants to know Jason. So, Jason, without further ado, what is your favorite non-work activity and why?
Okay, great question. My favorite non-work activity evolves over time. Recently, it's really been walking has been great. Like my boss Josh actually walks all the time, and he'll call me from walks just around the building. He'll get out, and probably a year ago I started doing more of that and just getting outside. I try to get outside every day. Sometimes it's just walking the dog in the neighborhood at lunch or walking with buddies. I happen to have a lot of buddies that live in my neighborhood, or during the weekends, taking my dog and hopefully the family, if they want to come. It's like 50-50. They want to come or not. And then we'll go into the foothills and walk amongst the trees and the rivers and things like that. So I think walking, it's almost been therapeutic for me. Just getting out, moving your body, feeling the ground beneath your feet or the wind and the cold air in your face. Like it's something that just kind of grounds me.
That's really cool. Okay, so you said you have a dog. What kind do you have?
Molly is actually right there laying on the couch. She
Oh,
is like, she got her at the pound, so we think she's border collie slash mini Australian shepherd.
oh, fun. I
Yeah,
grew up with an Australian Shepherd.
she's a great pup. And
Oh, that's
she
awesome.
sleeps there. She and I hang out all day long. When I'm home and I'm working from my home office, we just hang out all day. It's great.
Oh, I love that. Okay, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so next question, guilty pleasure, what can you not live without? This is going to be your like Real Housewives of Miami. Your like a snack food that you always have with you when you travel. Like your playlist that no one else knows that you listen to, but it's like all Pharrell. Like what's your guilty pleasure?
I love those. I've never seen a Real Housewives. I do love Pharrell, but I need to make a playlist. My current guilty pleasure is my wife Shannon makes this and has done so. I don't know if it's a year or 2 years. She makes this banana bread with chocolate chips in it, and it's become like she's at legend status now. And this banana bread holds that status in our kids' middle school and high school. We have a middle schooler and a high school, and so like we last night I got home at midnight from a trip, and like before I just went up and went to bed, like I saw there was fresh banana bread and I went and had to have a slice. It probably wasn't the best idea for my sleeping, but I did it anyway. And like truly, Kate, people like kids will come to our house without my
No
children by their
way.
side, will ring the doorbell and be like, is Mrs. Wange here, and is there banana bread? And yeah, that's the
Do you
legend
have
it's
it
built
displayed
in our
on
neighborhood.
CalMail like in your kitchen?
I know. Yeah, we got a nice little pedestal riser that it gets to sit on. So
That's
it's
awesome.
wonderful, and it's kind of also really fun. The sense of
Yeah.
community that it's brought in some ways. So it's been great.
That's like the most middle school and high school thing. Like, that's so funny. That's awesome.
It's been great. She loves it. She just she's probably making 2 or 3 loaves a week,
Oh
and
my gosh, wow.
it's just her happy place. And she loves when we love when kids come by, and it's just fun. It's great.
It's like trick or treat year round, but like your wife is single-handedly keeping grocery stores in business.
She totally is. She totally is.
That's awesome. Okay, so if you could eat anywhere for your next meal, where would that be and why?
Okay. The restaurant I really want to get to is Blue Dorn down in Houston, Texas. So this fall I got to moderate a panel at a conference called Roots, and Roots is put on by the Chef's Garden and Farmer Lee Jones and Chef Jamie Simpson and their teams. And they have all these amazing chefs come in, and I got to help be a part of a panel on mental health and well-being in food service. And Chef Aaron Bludorn, was on the panel. We got to kind of become buddies and spend some bus rides going back and forth to the conference together. And he trained under Daniel Boulud in New York for 5 years. So just an unbelievable chef, and a really great guy who has a young family. He's building restaurants, trying to navigate the balance of both those things. So I really want to get down there, see him, and try his restaurant.
That's awesome. I did some research on it and it looks kind of seafoody, a little Gulf Coast vibe. It looks really cool.
Yeah, he's doing really amazing things. I think he's working on his third place right now.
Wow.
And everything he does is done with that legacy that he's built, just all of those places he's worked, and he incorporates all of that into what he's doing now. So he's doing great things.
That's pretty cool. It's always fun when you have those places that you're like, when I get there, I am going to this restaurant. I've looked this up. I've done my research. I'm going in and this is going to be so cool. I love that.
Too.
Okay. So next question, what would it be if you had one piece of advice to give a young person in this industry?
There's so much great advice. And I think my one right now is this phrase that I love called level up. And that simply means get to know people who are where you want to be. And that can be in terms of role in their career. It can look in terms of how they navigate family and work life. It can look in terms of just how professional or respectful they are, or their demeanor. All of these things we gravitate towards. Don't hesitate to reach out to someone who is exemplifying those and say, hey, can I buy you coffee? Could I take you to lunch? I want to learn. I've done this throughout my career and no one has ever turned me down because it's such an endearing thing to receive. When someone calls you and says, hey, I really admire the way you're navigating your career, living your life, it always feels like an honor. So people are always say yes. We're in food service. Everyone is always eager to help one another, offer insights, support, etc. So I would say the degree that you are willing, step out there, take a risk, go find people who are in places you want to be and find out how. When you sit down and have coffee with someone, you find out how they think, you hear how they talk, like you get the nuances you wouldn't get otherwise. So that's my one thing.
That's really sweet. Well, and I think you said it really well of like, it's just a very earnest, like, hey, I just want to be your pal. Like, can you walk through life with me, like professionally and personally? And I think that that's just a really honest and really sweet thing to do. And I think that's like a really sweet way to meet people exactly where they're at and then be like, I also want to learn from you. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so what is your favorite food service trend that you see right now while you're out and about?
So my favorite trend right now is live fire cooking. I love going into restaurants that have a huge fire pit. It feels in some ways like an archaic way of cooking, right? Going back 4,000 years. And yet some of the best meals I have, walk in and they have a fire pit with some kind of nuanced various broilers with things around it, lowering the meat into the fire, etc. And there's something just so, I don't know, grounding about that. And the fact that you can put out these unbelievable meals. There's this place we love. So Cow Mill is based in Oceanside, just outside of San Diego, California. And we love a place called Campfire. We'll take our team there and they'll do charred broccoli, certainly all kinds of meats. They even take some of the coals from the fire and they do this s'mores dish that they bring it to the table and you're heating your marshmallows over this little coal thing right at the table with this
That's
homemade
so
chocolate.
cool.
And it's amazing. It's probably my favorite trend right now.
That's really fun. There's a concept in Columbus that actually just started the open fire concept, and it's really cool. It's called Hearth, which is the Welsh word for hearth. So to your vibe, I just learned about that, and it's really cool. It's just a really homey place, like to sit around and talk to people, and so I love that. Okay, so what is your favorite part about being a MAFSI member?
My favorite part about being a MAFSI member, I love MAFSI. I'm not going to hide any of that. I've been a part of MAFSI for so many years, going back. I mean, been a part of it for a long time. I got to be on the board for quite a while, about 5 years. And so many of my closest industry friends are MAFSI people that I met on the board. MAFSI is a place where people are eager to learn and they're eager to share. So it's a place that I can go with a ton of questions and without shame, bring them all on the table and say, how do you do this? Let me pick your brain on this. And it's full of people who want to learn. They want to grow. They're not, no one is ego based there. It's not like I know everything. So when you're amongst like minded people, it really creates a safe place. And everyone's always eager to help. So, that idea of like leveling up and asking people how you do things, people have shared things with me for so long through MAFSI. They're so collaborative and always, always willing to help. So I think that's part of why I love MAFSI so much.
That's really special, especially because it's a trade organization that so many people bring so many different talents to, that every person comes into food service with some sort of background, whether that's ops or like really anything. And so it's fun to pull that from other people and gain those friendships and all of that. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, what is your favorite book? What's the book that you're like that anytime you think about it, you're like, this was incredible. If I could read it again for the first time and experience it, I would love that.
So my favorite book, it's sitting on my bookshelf. Actually, I did not stage this, but it's right there and it's facing us, as it turns out.
Perfect.
It's called
Perfect.
Success Principles, and by Jack Canfield. This was a book I read. Oh golly, it was December. I first read it December of 2008, and it's not an understatement to say it changed my life. It just changed the course and the trajectory of my story and my experience. And so much of how I live today is based off the principles in that book. So, yeah, that will probably be my all-time fave.
That's pretty cool. So Jack Canfield did Chicken Soup for the Soul. He was one
Mm-hmm.
of the authors for that. So that's a fun little tie-in that I like. I grew up on Chicken Soup for the Soul, so it's fun to like hear that other people have loved different aspects of people's work. So I think that's pretty sweet. Okay, so the last question that I had you answer for us is: are you a good cook? If so, what's your best dish?
Well, um, the answer is probably not. I'm probably not a good cook. I haven't spent a ton of time. Historically, Shannon does a lot of the cooking because I'm on the road a lot and things like this, and she
Right.
loves it. It's been like therapy for her in life. And so, but I've gotten into it a little bit more, particularly during COVID. And my favorite meal that I'm into, particularly right now that it's winter, is spaghetti and meatballs. I got this recipe from my uncle, and the meatballs, it's like half ground beef, half Italian sausage with some Worcestershire sauce and an egg and all these various things, breadcrumbs. We put them on the smoker, smoke them / grill them for a little bit. And then we take them off the smoker, put them in the crock pot where all the like tomato sauce is and all that, the marinara sauce. And we let that kind of go slow cook for about 6 hours. And it's like butter. It's my favorite.
It's so good. That's
Yeah.
so good. I love that. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. I know that, again, kind of like what I said in the beginning, you're always the interviewer. So it was really fun for me to be like, oh, I get to interview Jason Wange. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And everybody, you'll be able to catch this edition on the newest edition of MAFSI Messenger. So thank you all for tuning in and watching our time together.
Kate, you did a great job. Thanks for having me.